keep asking myself, what am I doing here at Cap College? I mean, I came here to get an education. I came here to learn and find my place in the world and take in knowledge. Instead, I feel like I'm just buying a degree. I just find myself wondering, I mean, what is education for anyway? Why are we here? What's education supposed to be all about?
The most important role of education is to broaden people's imaginations and to enhance their ability to think critically and independently. In a democracy, the rights and freedoms that we value very highly depend crucially on an electorate that is not only involved but participates in elections, participates in the debate about issues that matter to us. And for that to be effective, for people to really be able to do that, they need to be able to think independently and critically.
I think what education is one of the great agents of democracy. It gives everybody who's willing and able to learn equal opportunity to participate in society fully as a member of that society. It allows people to interact and understand the complexity of the society they live in. It also allows them to achieve their goals both in economic and in public areas.
Going to school, like what role does school play in your life?
I have a pretty strong need for information. I find that if I'm not learning on a constant basis, I get pretty bored. But the greater need is definitely the fact that I have 2 children and I need to find employment in order to support them. I think it's important for them to see me going to school so that they know education is an important thing in their lives as well.
Social planning promotes lifelong learning because it is through learning about community that people become involved and engaged in their community and will begin to address their community's issues.
Well, education obviously is a great leveler, and it overcomes differences in class, to put it simply. People who come from a less enriched background may do better in society as a result of getting an education. Education tends to produce better citizens, people who are healthier, wealthier, and more interested and more able to make decisions about the political leadership.
I think there's a great deal of confusion going on between education and training, and a lot of what ostensibly is education is in fact training, and training is distinct from education. Education teaches people to think, to be independent, to be creative, and to realize their potential. Training teaches people how to perform certain tasks.
I think education has a twofold role. There's a very obvious role that it has in training and educating the cadre who are going to be part of the workforce, whether that be the professional workforce or the trades workforce, whatever the case may be. That's a very important function because now you cannot work without ever increasing educational qualifications. But the second and the more enduring purpose of education is in fact to critically analyze the state of our society and to advocate for its improvement, development, and enhancement.
I've always viewed education as something that should be a right to anyone that chooses to pursue it. We are bombarded with visual culture in our society, and I think that teaching people to critically engage with it and getting them to do projects that critically engage with visual culture and look at the assumptions that are made and the stereotypes that are perpetuated really allows people to understand how representation can create various types of realities, and also sort of hopefully allow the students ample opportunity to synthesize the information and understand how these power dynamics are at work in their lives.
How I would like it. And education to me means future for her.
I don't really understand how education could be about anything other than buying a degree when it becomes more expensive. I mean, the thing is, if you're paying for it, you're purchasing something, you know? If it's really that much of a burden on your bank account, it becomes a transaction. It's no longer about just being about learning and becoming a citizen and, you know, getting the skills you need to lead your life and society, you know? Like, an educated society is a healthy society. You know, education is as important to the well-being of the community as healthcare is. And it really should be something that we see in the same light. I think post-secondary education is as important to people's lives now as high school was, you know, during the Great Depression. In today's knowledge-based economy, you can't get away without having a post-secondary education. If you don't have a post-secondary education, you're going to get left behind. And that's all there is to it. As far as I'm concerned, there's no question that education is a right.
Education is too expensive at the moment, and I have a lot of friends who are in like stupid amounts of debt who have to take time off school to pay this off while working like an $8 an hour job because that's all they can get because they don't have a degree yet, so they still don't have that pull. But anyway, it's really difficult, and it's like a looming thing, and I want to go to school, but I think it'll be hard if the increases keep happening.
Is it worth it to get that much in debt and end up paying off, you know? And a lot of courses, it's not like they pay for themselves, because like I say, you know, the people I'm working with are fresh out of school and I'm making, you know, a couple cents more than them an hour.
Yeah.
But just because you've gone to school doesn't mean you're qualified, so why take the risk of getting so far in debt?
What sort of impacts do you think tuition fee increases will have?
Well, I already see it happening now before it's even increased any further, and that is that students are juggling sometimes 2 or 3 jobs. They often have to work a lot more hours per week than they used to, which really impedes their ability to study and concentrate, and they sometimes have to miss classes because they've been called in for a shift at the last minute, and that's something that I really noticed increasing over the past, you know, couple of years.
They think that's fair?
I don't know.
Jacking up tuition and, you know, making it harder for students to get an education?
That ain't
fair.
I
mean, like, really, who has the money to do that sort of shit anymore?
Yeah.
Not me. Hence, I'm not in school right now.
Wicked.
I work over there.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It's not, you're not making enough money over there to go to school?
No.
No?
No.
Well, fuck.
I know many students who scrimp and save and they pay for their tuition fees, and at the end of the day they have a handicap in the sense that they have to work, or they have to try and find other sources of money, whereas for the person for whom that's trouble-free, that's a real asset. So I don't think there's any place for tuition fees in post-secondary education. In the European Union, by and large, over the years, tuition fees were not levied. Now there's been some what I call creeping tuition fee schedules coming back in some of the states. But it was recognized that in order to create a level playing field where economics or finances didn't become a form of discrimination, that they had to eliminate fees, and they did in many of the jurisdictions. There are no tuition fees, for example, today in France or in Germany.
Right now I'm on financial aid, plus I have 2 part-time jobs, and increase in tuition fees is basically literally taking food from our mouths and clothing from our backs. It's that's where extra tuition money is going to come from, is my grocery bill.
When I graduated from UBC with my first degree, my tuition was $454. I could make that easily, even babysitting over the summer. I think now students, no matter how they work in the summer, will have trouble even coming up with enough money to pay their tuition, much less the tremendously increased costs of books. I think asking students to go into a lot of debt is unreasonable and pushes people away from education.
What sort of impact have tuition fee increases had on you?
Most definitely quality of life for me and my kids because of tuition increases. You know, I don't have as much money to put towards groceries and things like, you know, clothing for my kids, and things that you need on a daily basis, as well as rent and hydro bills and things like that.
Are you? What sort of feelings do you have about an additional 25% increase that they're talking about?
Well, it will affect my life that much more. Possibly look for a cheaper place to live, which is pretty much impossible in the city that we live in. So. And as well as money towards daycare costs and things like that, it's a high cost as well for care for your children. So that money is coming out of my student loan, which has to be paid back with an interest rate as well. So.
Okay. And what do you see the impacts of tuition fee increases being?
Well, I think they're catastrophic. I think this increasingly restricts education, both domestically and internationally, to the sons and daughters of the extremely wealthy. Had this been the case when I was of student age, I wouldn't be here talking to you now.
Well, it certainly seems intuitively clear that there will be some who will not be able to attend post-secondary education because of rising tuition fees. And this is a detriment to them and a detriment to society.
There is so much need at this college, and so much that this college can do for people to improve their lives, to give them a better place in the job market, a better place in the world. And I think that by raising tuition, we're just gonna stop that opportunity for people. I mean, I think the bottom line is that we're at a place in the history of this college where we're making a decision. Is this a community college, or are we gonna send those people somewhere else? Are we gonna say to those people, you can't come here anymore, this school is only for rich people? Or are we gonna say to those people, this college is for everyone, it's a community college, and it's a beautiful place where you can come and learn and improve your quality of life?
And I think the students down